the Labour Party. Congress, I grew up on a council estate. My parents were on the welfare state. I was on free school meals, and I needed the help of my nan, and my parents needed the help of my nan to keep us afloat, who worked 3 jobs on many zero-hour contracts just to keep us in school uniform. And by the time I was 16, I was pregnant. I had left school with no qualifications. I didn't go to university. I got a job as a home carer, determined to make a better life for my son. And I wanted to prove the critics wrong. And that's when things started to change for me. Within a year, I was a UNISON rep, standing up for others in the workplace, getting a qualification in care. Education and my union was my second chance. I spent years fighting for decent pay, security, and that respect for dedicated public servants. And since 2015, I've had the honour of doing so in Parliament. Not bad for a girl who was told she'd never amount to anything. So you can see why I'm so passionate about education and equality, about early years, thinking back to the dedicated Sure Start workers who helped this teenage mum, about further education and union learning, a second or even a third chance for people like me, and about schools, the very place that offer opportunity and achievement to every child, regardless of what's going on at home. Instead, Congress, this week we've seen the Prime Minister impose a policy guaranteed to reduce the life chances of millions of children. Yes, I'm talking about the return of secondary moderns. Not so much education, 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 but more segregation, segregation, segregation. Just weeks ago, the Prime Minister solemnly promised on the steps of number 10 to govern for the many, not the privileged few, to be led by the evidence when making decisions and to be a one-nation leader. But this is aimed not just at serving a privileged few, but creating a privileged few. A policy which flies in the face of all the evidence, not just some, but every single aspect of evidence and all those leading professionals in education. A policy that is about partisan politics and right-wing dogma. Announced, of course, to the Tory MPs in a private little room, being denied to the public. The pattern is already too clear. Yesterday it was grammar schools, today it's a boundary review to gerrymander the House of Commons, even as they stack Parliament with unelected lords. She doesn't want to lead a one-nation party, but a one-party nation. For all the children being set up to fail the 11+, none will do what this Prime Minister has done and fail so spectacularly the test that she set for herself. And this at a time when we have schools places crisis, the highest rate of teachers leaving the profession in a decade, and over 500,000 children in supersized classes. Congress, we know what is needed: great comprehensive schools, funded to international standards, pupils that are supported by our brilliant teaching assistants and taught by world-class professional teachers. It's Labour that's on the side of aspiration and achievement for children from every background. And alongside a world-class education system, we need a society that supports everyone to live a life of equality. For women, for LGBT people, for disabled people, for Black and Asian people too. And there's much more still to be done. When a majority of women have experienced sexual harassment at work, it reminds us that not whatever progress we have made, we must guard it very carefully and make sure it doesn't get rolled back. This government talks the language of equality, but acts against it, like imposing tribunal fees, so that discrimination cases have plummeted. And Congress, the bosses, they're getting away with it. Labour is absolutely clear. We will scrap employment tribunal fees. And Congress, that won't just help women, it will help anyone who's been the victim of discrimination or unfair treatment at work, like BME workers who earn less than white workers, no matter how qualified they are. We must build a society free from the blights of racial inequality and discrimination. Congress, our great movement, has the answers. The Labour Party needs your help to build a fair society that we all want and need. Now, I've been watching your debates this week, and I have to say, I'm so glad to hear about your Young Workers campaign. I was one of the youngest home helps in Stockport and one of the youngest union reps. Lots of young people work in social care and childcare too, public sector and private, and they need our unions' help. They need strong trade unions. Once again, we must be the movement of young workers. And Congress, I wanted to thank you personally for your moving tribute to our friend Jo Cox, robbed from us. We honour her memory in how we live, the examples that we set, the causes that we champion, and the lives that we change. We have more in common than divides us. So Congress, I hope you know that I'll fight for all chances for all our children. And I hope you know that I'll always fight for equality. And I also hope you know me a little better now too. Although I'm not going to say anything about the gags or what happened at Congress when I was a delegate here. What happens at Congress stays at Congress. So I'm looking particularly at the UNISON delegation right in front of me there. Congress, I was made in a trade union. I am one of you. I know what it's like to represent working people, and I know that you've had a difficult time and your members have had a very difficult time. And I promise that I will continue to fight for you in Parliament. My strength and the strength to get up in front of the Conservative government and to give that passion is because I know I'm representing ordinary people of this country. I know that I'm representing my constituents that deserve better from a nasty, pernicious, right-wing, Tory dogma government. Thank you.